Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. We're going to talk about Spider-Gwen. I always do this, and I don't know why when I do these videos, and anything. There's no and to that. But we are going to talk about Spider-Gwen, and this is a graphic novel. It's Spider-Gwen Most Wanted, I believe it's called. I'm going to pick it up right now. Spider-Gwen Most Wanted. It's a continuation from the Spider-Woman comics and graphic novels. I try not to read comics because I feel like I'm going to miss one. I don't live anywhere near a comic book shop really, and have to go to Birmingham every single week to get another comic book. Just seems too much for me, just a little bit. So I wait for him to come into graphic novel form. I did it with the New 52 Batman, and I've been putting off Death of the Family for so long now. I might actually get around to doing it because I've got the big thick one that's got every single different version of the New 52 Death in the Family storyline in one. So I might try and sit and do that one day. So this, I'd seen pop figures for it, and I thought Spider-Gwen looked cool. I wasn't really sure if I'd want to get a pop figure of someone I don't really know anything about, so I picked up a graphic novel. This is very interesting. The other reviews I've done might be a little bit shorter. This one might be a little bit longer. This one and the next one might be a little bit longer, that is. Because I've got more that I want to talk about in these videos than I do for those. And that's why I mentioned in one of them that the reviews seem shorter for these, because I don't really know what else to say, because I've got so much to say about these things. There are certain things I have a lot to say about, certain things I won't have a lot to say about. And I might just start reviewing things that I've got a lot to say about, actually, just to feel like I'm actually putting something out in the world that makes sense and is useful, I suppose. So Spider-Gwen, if you don't know anything about Spider-Gwen, or you would like to know more about Spider-Gwen, this was issue 0 in the Spider-Gwen arc. I was going to pick up number 1 instead of 0, and thought I'd better start at the beginning and really figure out what's going on in this before I started number 1, and I'm glad I did, because I'd be so confused. I went to see Spider-Man Homecoming, got this a few weeks, maybe even a month later, and it's completely different, and I understood. I went into this expecting that. For God's sake, Spider-Man is played by Gwen Stacy. So this book is based in one of the alternative reality universes. There are quite a few of those in Spider-Man. Obviously, I'm pretty sure Miles Morales is one of the universes, different universes. This is one of those as well. And in this universe, Gwen Stacy is bitten by the spider, not Peter Parker. So she becomes Spider-Woman, is her actual name, but she's Spider-Gwen in this graphic novel series arc. And everything is completely different. So this is a complete spoiler for Spider-Woman. Spider-Gwen opens with this, so it's not a spoiler for that. If you wanted to read the Spider-Woman graphic novels first, just let you know, this is a spoiler for that. But Spider-Gwen opens with the sort of like summing up of what happened in Spider-Woman. And at some point in Spider-Woman, I don't want to say it ends with this, but this is how this starts. Peter Parker has died instead of Gwen Stacy. It's quite literally a role reversal. Gwen Stacy has... I'm not 100% sure in the details. Like I said, I didn't read the Spider-Woman stuff, but she either is partially responsible, or she blames herself for Peter Parker's death. Very similar to how it happens for Spider-Man and Gwen in the Spider-Man graphic novels and Spider-Man stories. So that's already flipped. Other things that are flipped in this that I found really interesting is I'm definitely going to read this series. I'm really feeling like I'm going to try and get into the Spider-Gwen series, because this sort of blew my mind a little bit on like how much had changed, because it's so different. First of all, she's in a band called the Mary Janes. Mary Jane is in there. Mary Jane, Gwen Stacy. I'm pretty sure Black Cat's in there. Possibly. There's like a couple of like Spider-Man heroes/villains in this band. There's 4. It's all girls. It's 4 girls. And I couldn't believe it. I was like, whoa! Like this is such a random thing to have thrown in there, but it's really cool that they've all got a meaning to the story. So there's that. Matt Murdock is a corrupt lawyer that is protecting the Kingpin, which straight away blew my mind, especially being, I loved Daredevil and I love Wilson Fisk, from series 1 of Daredevil on Netflix, to then find out that they're best friends in this, and he like protects him and stuff. I was like, I can't believe it. It's crazy. Frank Castle, Punisher, is an actual police officer who like sort of moonlights as Punisher, but he's Frank Castle and he's like he's not corrupt, but he's like a police officer that takes like the law into his own hands when things aren't going his way, I suppose. That was cool because he's like just like a vigilante basically. He's like a badass vigilante that'll just kill people in the normal universe, but in this one he's sort of the opposite but the same in a way. There's like a spider. I can't remember his name now, but there's a spider pig. There is a spider pig in this, but he does have a name. I'm sure of it, but I can't remember what it is. But there's a spider pig in this that she sort of hallucinates about when she's struggling with things, which was a bit weird. But I'm interested to see where that goes. Vulture is in this, which is why I brought up Homecoming, because I was surprised that Vulture was in this as like a villain for Spider-Gwen. Uncle Ben is alive. That blew my mind. I was like, I can't believe Uncle Ben is alive in this story. And him and Aunt May are trying to deal with the fact that Peter's lost his parents, obviously, however many years ago, but now they've lost Peter as well. Like, it's just craziness. I couldn't believe what was going on when I was reading the story. And at the end of this graphic novel, this is Zero, so this is like literally setting up the graphic novel series for the Spider-Gwen. At the end of this graphic novel, we find out that basically Matt Murdock is orchestrating, is that the right word? An attack on the Stacy family. He doesn't just think the dad's corrupt, because the dad is like, I want to say police commissioner, but he works with the police force. And obviously Gwen Stacy, Spider-Gwen, but they don't know that she's Spider-Gwen. She's Spider-Woman, Spider-Gwen. I keep calling her Spider-Gwen because of what it is. They'd know it's Gwen Stacy if she called herself Spider-Gwen, surely. How many people called Gwen are there in New York? I shouldn't have asked that question. So, like, yeah, the attack is on, like, both of them separately, but it's sort of happening at the same time. The police are sort of trying to figure out why Spider-Gwen is protecting Captain Stacy. I want to say George. This is going to bug me now. It's right in front of me, so I've got to look at it. It's like one of the last pages. I'm sure his name's like George or some shit. Come on. But yeah, the police are trying to figure out... Well, oh, hello. You were a bit high there. George. The police are trying to figure out why why Spider-Woman is protecting George Stacy all the whole time. So they're sort of trying to put the connection together, and if they look too much into it, they might actually find out that they're related. At the same time as Daredevil basically is orchestrating this hit on behalf of Kingpin with all these other villains. Like, I'm pretty sure Rhino shows up in this. Obviously, I mentioned Vulture. Just as like two little hints, and the story will progress from there basically. And it was really interesting to see the universal change. I'm sure I know I'm late to the party on this because like there's so many different versions of Spider-Man. I'd love to read Miles Morales more because I like the idea of this character in different universes, and now I've read a female version. I'd like to see a different version. I've always been interested in Spider-Man 2099, I think it is as well. I think that's one of them that I've looked at before. And Superior Spider-Man, I definitely want to read. I think I've got a graphic novel for that as well somewhere. Because I like all these alternative reality versions of Spider-Man. But this has really piqued my interest into that even more. If you've not read any of the alternative universe things, if it's anything like Spider-Gwen, I am looking forward to all of them. Because Spider-Gwen it's written really well. It looks really good. Like the pictures in it are really good. The way it's all set out and things, it flows really well. Until like right at the end, the last sort of issue was a bit. It seemed thrown in. It seemed like it was out of place a little bit, but they were sort of still trying to set up for what was coming up next. They didn't want to. It felt like they didn't want to put too much into this one because they wanted you to read the next one, so you'd have to get them in the next issue. But if it's a long-running series, that makes sense. There are going to be issues like that. Like TV episodes, if they're trying to build up a TV episode, sometimes I'll throw in one of those episodes that's just a bit crap. So oh well, the next episode will be better than this, and that just seemed like that was this issue. But there was too much good stuff outweighing that half an issue. It wasn't even a full issue. It was like half an issue that I was just like, this is not not what I expected. So yeah, this was really intriguing. I'm looking forward to reading the rest of it to see what other like villains or heroes and stuff, because Spider-Man's sort of linked into the Avengers, especially in the comics. So it'd be interesting to see if Spider-Gwen gets linked into them and if any of those characters have changed. Because I know there's a female Thor and stuff, so you never know. All of that could show up in this as well. So I'm looking forward to seeing what the future brings for Spider-Gwen. Yeah, if you've not read it, I'd recommend definitely picking this up, because it's quite a interesting change on the story, and I liked the interesting change. I'm pretty sure that's everything I need to mention about this. Yeah. I hope you enjoyed this video. Definitely check this out. If you've not read this, check this out. If you know me and want to borrow it. I will let you borrow it. It's more often than not, if I enjoy something that I really want other people to read, especially graphic novel-wise, because I know not many people collect graphic novels now, I hand it out. I'm like, you read this next, you read this next. I know for a fact I'm giving this to Jack, Mike, and at some point Millie. Millie has a lot of my graphic novels at the minute though, so she needs to read some of those before she gets this. So yeah, hope you enjoyed this. I hope you enjoyed that, because it's brilliant. Hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you again in the next one.